We are now 293 days away from the midterms. Today, President Donald Trump decided to focus on the economy and give a speech in Michigan about his agenda. He declared that the Trump boom was underway, raised plans to bring down housing costs and prescription drug prices. And he also promised, quote, that jerk, talking about Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell, would be gone soon. Apparently, all in an effort to address concerns about affordability, which several recent polls show remains among the top concern for millions of Americans. Just listen to this.
In the coming weeks, I will be laying out even more plans to help bring back affordability. And again, remember, that's a fake word by Democrats. Prices were too high. They caused the high price.
Despite speaking at the Detroit Economic Club, the president didn't stay on topic for long. Among other things, his remarks pivoted to events unfolding outside the United States.
All I'm doing is spewing off what the hell we've done. Even Venezuela wasn't too bad. That was as flawless an attack as there has ever been. And they asked us to help them. They have 50 million barrels of oil. They said, take it. And we're going to start hitting them by land, too. The hard part is done. To all Iranian patriots, keep protesting, take over your institutions if possible, and save the name of the killers and the abusers that are abusing you. And I've canceled all meetings with the Iranian officials until the senseless killing of protesters stops. And all I say to them is help is on its way.
On the issue of Iran, this evening, the president was expected to meet with national security advisors to discuss potential U.S. action in the country. With that, let's bring in our leadoff panel, Jeff Mason, White House correspondent for Reuters, Tolu Olorunnipa, staff writer for The Atlantic, and David Drucker, senior writer at The Dispatch. Okay, you know what, David? We're going to talk more about the inflation data a little later this hour. But to be very clear, the economy is still an issue, right? And it seems like the president thinks that the economy is a messaging issue only, which he wouldn't be the first president to make that mistake. Let's be, I did work for Joe Biden. It's just a messaging problem and not really addressing the economic policy that is leading to why people are feeling the way they feel about the economy. Who do you think this message about affordability is fake is reaching?
Look, the thing about elected officials is they believe in the policies that they're pushing. So they never think the policy is the problem. They always think messaging is the problem, right? And especially when you're in charge, everybody's like, how do we fix this? Because they're not going to change their mind on policy. Well, we got to talk about it better, right? That's always a solution. And, the president's in this position now where when he was running for president again in 2024, he was able to point fingers at the Biden administration and say, listen, people's prices are too high. And that's, when I was traveling in all the swing states, Michigan, Nevada, people were talking about this incessantly. To be clear, it was a real issue. It was a real issue. And you know what the Biden administration did? And I'm getting to a point here. They said, look at all the macro indicators, right? Inflation's cooling, the markets are hot, and unemployment is low. And you know what voters said? But I don't feel secure financially, and I feel stretched. So now we're in the second Trump presidency, and you know what's happening? Voters are saying, I realize that you're pointing to charts and telling me that the macro indicators indicate that the U.S. economy is resilient, which it is, but I don't feel secure, and I don't feel like my life is affordable. And this isn't just about people at the lower ends of the economic ladder. These are people in the middle and upper middle who are saying, for the kind of money I'm making, I should not feel stretched. And the reason affordability is an apt term is because this isn't just about grocery prices or anything else. It's about the cost of living generally, and people feel stretched. And politically, it's always about how people feel, not about statistics. And that's the problem that President Trump and the Republicans are in right now.
Well, look, Jeff, part of affordability is housing, to be honest. And I think the big difference between, we talk about the Biden administration and their take on the economic situation and the Trump administration, President Biden got to a point where he's like, I understand the pain. President Trump is telling people, look, the Democrats, they just made this up for you. Listen to what I'm saying. Someone must have gotten to the president, though, Jeff, because he did call Senator Elizabeth Warren to talk about economic policies. And I think that's notable. I mean, even these policies that even Thune and Johnson are downplaying, we're talking about like capping credit card rates. So he's going to the progressive playbook, one could argue, but what is the calculation here?
You would ask me that question, Simone. I don't know. I don't know what the calculation is, but I don't think it's inconsistent for President Trump to throw people off by making a call like that to Senator Warren. It's the same sort of play that he did when he had then Mayor-elect Mamdani come to the Oval Office and have what was largely a bromance or praise session. This president goes back and forth, and there are certainly some things that he does that be it on economic policy or otherwise, that have led to some strange bedfellows, including Bernie Sanders. And so now Elizabeth Warren, perhaps, if they had a chat about housing or a chat about her efforts to cap credit interest rates on credit cards, that's something that the president is supporting now too. Who knows where that will go? But to get back to the crux of your question, this president, by saying that affordability, that word is something that's made up by Democrats, that's just not going to go over well politically. And the point that he's making is that he feels it's a problem that he inherited. But whether that's true now or not, he owns the economy, and he will be seen as owning the economy when the midterms come around in November.
Yeah, we're about almost 1 year into this thing. Tolu, something else that the president weighed in on today that was not the economy was he called protesters of his, what we will call immigration crackdown, quote, fake rioters. He is even losing Joe Rogan on this issue. Take a listen.
You don't want militarized people in the streets just roaming around, snatching people up, many of which turn out to actually be U.S. citizens that just don't have their papers on them. Are we really going to be the Gestapo? Where's your papers? Is that what we've come to?
What does that response from Joe Rogan signal to you? And not even a response. He's weighing in on what's happening in this country, just like most people.
It's very clear that the president is losing the plot. This is a president that knows TV. He knows what imagery looks like. He knows how to make sure that people, their heartstrings are pulled by television imagery. In this case, heartstrings are being pulled in the opposite direction, away from the president. People do not like to see what looks like an unprofessional occupation of a city where people are being taken out of cars. Young mothers are being dragged out of cars by people who look like they're amped up and overly aggressive for no reason, slipping on the ice and just not following protocol. It does not look like the kind of flawless, operation that the president would like to see when he talks about the military, when he talks about people that are under his purview operating under the commands that he's giving them. It does not look very professional. It does not look like they are going after the right people. He wants a situation where you've got these people in the streets, they're taking child rapists and other hardened thugs and criminals off the streets. But instead, what we're seeing is they're going after mothers. They're going after teenagers. They're going after people who are citizens who just happen to not have the right color skin. And that does not sit well in the minds of most Americans who do not want their cities occupied by a bunch of people who do not look professional, who are very aggressive, and who are not following the protocol that we would expect in a country that loves freedom, where you don't have to go around showing your papers. You don't have to go around saying, this is how I prove that I'm an American citizen. You don't have to be sitting in your car at the gas station and someone comes up and says, show me your papers. That's not the kind of country that most people want to live in. The president realizes that he's starting to lose the plot on this.
Jeff, can I follow up with you really quickly on this? Because these images that we have on the screen right now, they are quite jarring. And I mean, to Tolu's point, the president does understand I think, I don't agree with Trump on much, but he's a master marketer. He understands imagery. So you're someone that's covered him over 2 terms now. Why is he allowing this to go on? Like, these images are insane.
I think part of the answer to that, Simone, is that this is in line with his vision for cracking down on immigration and cracking down on the other issues, crime, et cetera, that was a winner for him in the campaign. I don't know that he would see some of these images that are certainly unpopular and very disturbing to watch. I'm not sure that he would see them as that way.